Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Happy Tuesday to you. We're taking a quick look here at Bitcoin, kind of seeing what's going on. First off, got to give some congrats and kudos to our community here. Nice 60% from an SEI long, ETH 45%, and Bitcoin 32%. Hit some really strong targets yesterday, obviously with that pump getting in there early, and that was a good sign. If you saw my video from yesterday, you'll know that this type of flag pattern that we're seeing, or descending broadening wedge, depends on how you look at it, really is looking very strong. So there's a good chance we continue upwards as long as the war efforts don't continue. And even though they have kind of continued in a way, it's not, things are kind of coming, they're starting to come to an end, right? Again, I don't know a ton about it and I don't really claim to. So, take that with a grain of salt. But for the most part, when it comes to the charts are responding very, very positive, and it's a good sign, right? So just know that we're likely back on track. We're going to double check a few things to make sure, but getting above that 104 to 105K range I mentioned yesterday is a super strong start. That's our point of control, that resistance range that has since been broken with high volume. Once more, volume is what you want to pay attention to, which we have been doing. And if we take a look here, 106 to 109 is that next potential area of liquidation, with a lot of late shorts jumping in there at 105. All that being said, macro perspective, we're now closer to that heavy chunk of liquidation at 111. So just note that our local high or all-time high, however you look at it, should either be retested or broken soon if the volume continues. Now, when we say volume, the best way to identify it is to look at liquidation delta. This tells us we have 10 billion more longs than shorts in the market right now. Possibly because the shorts got squeezed out or shorts flipped long one way or the other. We can see bulls are in control. That's basically what that's telling us. So when we look here at the 7-day, we can kind of see open interest, heavy accumulation at 105, that low 105K range. So that was a previous, well, still could be a resistance for us. We haven't truly broken above. Just because we're just barely above it now doesn't mean we've totally taken or reclaimed that. But if we close today above 105K, that'd be a solid consideration for a long, or maybe a secondary long if you're in my community there. By the way, cryptocash.tech is a site linked down below if you're curious on how to become a member. We've got a lot of new members coming over. Please, please, please make sure you read through my signals guide that's available here. So don't just blindly follow my trades. There's a certain risk tolerance that I like to adhere to, and it's important you know that, okay? So just know that's all there for you. Otherwise, what we want to look at here is the daily time frame, kind of work our way down now that we kind of know roughly where we're at with the liquidation levels. CME gap 2, by the way, just so you know, this has been fully filled. So if we do take a look at our CME futures, as indicated on my crypto market update, this guy right here was fully filled, which is a common occurrence. Now, the pump yesterday didn't cause that to happen. That's just kind of coincidence. But for the most part, CME gaps are regularly filled, usually within a few weeks, and that just took one trading day. So it's pretty nice. Either way you look at it here, daily time frame, we're right now at this point of confluence. And I talked about this yesterday, but just to reiterate, we got the 20 and the 50-day SMA hanging out at 105.3, round number 105K. So again, if we zoom out, we know 104,000 and some change, 104.5 is that point of control from this most recent range since we've been above 100,000. So ever since May 12th here in this range here, we can see that we're in a position right now where the likelihood of staying above there is greater once we close above there, right? We need to continue to have higher volume though. Anyways, that's a very positive sign. Another positive sign here is breaking above 50 on the RSI. That generally implies that we've shifted momentum. We're now over our moving average, stochastic swinging up. And even though money flow index is low, that's low because we saw so much selling pressure over the last 14 days. That's actually a very positive sign to see it low in this case, because we have high volume today that'll slowly catch up, and that's a good sign. 4-hour time frame also telling us we have one last resistance at 106 with the SMA, the 200, and then of course we got 107 as that next potential area too, just based on fib levels. But once more, folks, if you've paid any attention to my videos, I hope you have. You need to know that fib levels mean very little if they are used alone. That's why L8 wave theorists, I think, are kind of a load of crap in a lot of ways, because they're just shooting in the barrel. They're giving you like 1,000 different possible case scenarios. They're always going to be right. It's not about being right or wrong, but it is about having confirming factors. And if you have more confirming factors at those fib levels, it reinforces resistance or support. That's all. Okay. And we don't have a ton of, confluence there at 107. So I don't really think that's going to be a heavy resistance for us. Either way, we're here moving towards 70 in the RSI, stochastic swinging down, sort of slowing down. And we're over our moving average. So these are all very positive signs. Obviously, stochastic's one little thing, but I don't put a ton of value on stochastic in its own. I use it typically in confirmation with volume, and volume is still remaining quite high. And at this point here, we're printing a pretty obvious type of pattern here. So you could argue, depending on the direction this is going, that it's a broadening wedge. You could even say that it's the opposite here with a type of bullish type of pennant pattern. This seems more appropriate here, but either way you look at it, these are bullish signs here and generally break to the upside based on the simple fact that there's a lot of momentum from the downside and volume. If it stays and remains here higher, then we're in good shape. Now keep in mind, volume seems low today if you compare it with the aggressive candles from yesterday, right? But generally speaking, this is still pretty consistent volume, and it's a good sign. And the important thing is that we have a high liquidation long delta, okay? So all that in combination really implies further upside. So if you are in a long currently from yesterday in my community, consider holding it open for a little bit longer. Keep in mind our local high here can work as a resistance, which we're seeing for the moment. But the more you test it, the more likely it is to break, right? This could very well be the beginning of a cup and handle too. So if the price starts to pull back, load up between 104 and 105K because the price will probably chunk up from there, okay? That's kind of what we're looking at there. And once more, pending no more missile garbage from Iran and the Israel war, we should be in pretty solid shape here. The Bitcoin responded very well to that low 100K range. That's a good sign. All right, that's all we got. I hope it makes sense. I know it was a lot, but thanks again so much for being an awesome part of my life. Make sure you check out Bitunix too, folks. They have a campaign starting tomorrow. I'll get you more information on that soon, but they are a phenomenal exchange, no KYC or VPN required. And obviously join us over on Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. We got a good 20 followers from yesterday. It was really nice. All right, folks, look forward to working with you. Have a good rest of your day. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.